Hey, 5th grade. Ready for a field study today? So I'm going to be walking you guys through what is a different section of the civil rights. And that is, I'm going to talk to you today about the Little Rock Nine and Ruby Bridges. But before we get started, you need to get the Field Study PDF, which is in your Art Turn-In Google folder. It's labeled Field Study PDF. You can download a copy of that and fill it out and turn it in to me, or you can write down your information or type it up and send that to me. Your 5th grade guiding questions have been, what makes a change maker and how can we create societal change? How can I affect change on the present, or how can I affect change on the present? And how has Amanda prepared me to change the future? So, I wanted to do stuff with civil rights with you guys because I know that's what you've been working on with your expeditions over the semester. But I wanted to go farther away from Atlanta and Alabama, which I know you guys have been able to study a lot of. This is going to be the Little Rock Nine and Ruby Bridges. This is a very interesting part of life, or history for me. I use a lot of history.com for this, so if you are interested, you can look through those. My dad was in 6th grade when Little Rock Nine happened, and he had grown up in California. California was already desegregated. They didn't have an issue. He said he had moved back to Georgia around that time, and he remembered watching on the news, and he didn't understand why it was a problem. He went to elementary school with black students and other students. One of the class presidents in his school was a black student. He said he didn't get it. He didn't understand. He's probably the closest I have to an actual connection to this, because, of course, I wasn't alive back then, despite how old some of you might think I am. But the thing that really gets me is that, especially Ruby Bridges is still alive. Most of the Little Rock Nine are still alive. Ruby Bridges is younger than my dad, a lot younger. She's probably around your grandparents' age, but you gotta think about it. This kind of stuff could have been happening to your grandparents or your great-grandparents. That's crazy. This isn't a long time ago. My dad watched it on TV. Your grandparents could have been part of this. So that's this thing that's just really wild to me. So let's take a look through some of this stuff. I'm going to pull up the websites that I have. So again, I use a lot of history.com. It's got some very nice videos and it's got some good information on these. Let's see, we're going to scroll down. The Little Rock Nine was a group of 9 students who were enrolled at a formerly all-white Central High School in Little Rock, Kansas, on September of 1957. Their attendance to the school just caused practically a riot, and we'll show that in a moment. It was the landmark Supreme Court ruling of Brown versus the Board of Education that declared that segregated public schools were unconstitutional. And again, this wasn't in all of America. Some parts of America were already segregated, or desegregated, excuse me. Like I had said, like my dad grew up in California like that. So this is a picture. Actually, I'm guessing it's of it, but looking at it now, it might be a little bit different. So, the Little Rock Central High School. Look, this is ridiculous the way people were reacting to this. In these videos, you're more than welcome to click on it when you get a chance. There's been a lot of monuments created to these. I'm going to show you some of the pictures in a moment. I'm going to go through. Here's the names: Orville Faubus, Elizabeth Eckford, Ronald Davies that's not Ronald Davies, that's Dwight D. Eisenhower. I don't know why he's pictured there. Ernest Green, And then there's some more. So there's also the information here on, of course, Wikipedia. Place upon places to go. This actually has a lot more in-depth information than the history.com site does. But I feel like I should pop back over for a second. Please be careful when you go too far into these. Sometimes you will come across some of the nasty things that people said, and it can be a little painful. So just be careful when you dig too deep into this. Well, let's go back over to the projector. And speaking of painful and even dumb things that were happening back then, let's see if I can get this slide up a little bit more. This is Elizabeth Eckford. She's the black girl in the front. And if you, it might be a little hard to see, but there's more in this one. There's a girl behind her who is screaming at her. This became a This picture eventually won a Pulitzer Prize because it just summed up so much of what was happening that day that they were escorted into the school. You can see that there's military in the background to help try and keep things at least under control. The white students are yelling and screaming at the black students, and it was a mob mentality. Sometimes when people get together in great big groups, the emotions can thrive. And can you imagine just how stupid it is to yell at somebody for wanting to have an education? The woman in the background who is yelling is named Hazel Bryan. And it turns out that years later, when they were both in their early 20s, I was not going to load, Hazel did contact the girl that in that picture, Elizabeth Eckford, and they did apologize. She did apologize to her, and even 40 years later, where's that on this? The two did reconcile, reunite, and they became friends. So it is kind of cool to hear that, 40 years later, that woman who was just filled with hate enough that she was screaming at another person was able to overcome it, and they became friends. I mean, I can't imagine they were the best of friends, but they were friends for a little while. Or at least it says for a little while. Eckford says, true reconciliation can occur only when we acknowledge our painful but shared past. Although it's true, it says both Hazel Bryan, whose now last name is Massey, and Elizabeth Eckford are still alive. It's unclear if they have remained lifelong friends. It's a step forward, I guess. So we've got some really good videos to watch on here. This is just a quick video. This is kind of a recap of everything that happens, but some of the surviving Little Rock 9 students recall their information, and this is a much longer video that has them interviewing with the students. I think both of these are from 2018, so they're not that long ago. But then let's talk about Ruby Bridges. Ruby Bridges was a kindergartner who was going to school for the first time in a segregated school. Can you imagine if you know a kindergartner, if you have a little brother or a little sister, or a cousin or somebody who wanted to go to school and people were trying to stop them from going to school, 5 years old, and people were trying to stop her from being able to go to school. It's terrible. I mean, it's ridiculous. She was not in Little Rock, so she's not the Little Rock 9. She's just at the same time of it. And there's a lot of great information on this website. But this is the video that I wanted you guys to watch. So, again, here she is. I'm going to go back and look at that, because I want you to look. She was born in 1954. She's my mom's age. No, she's a little bit younger than my mom. But this could have happened to your grandma, to your grandpa. It's it's ridiculous. And it's heartbreaking that people were trying to keep people, or kids, just from being able to go to school. I'll show you a little bit of this one, but I'm not going to watch the whole thing with you. I just want you to be able to hear her words a little bit.
When we turned the corner, I saw all of these people.
November 14th, 1960. It was 6-year-old Ruby Bridges' first day of school at William Frantz Elementary in New Orleans.
I remember them chanting 2, 4, 6, 8. We don't want to integrate.
So that video is going to be linked in my daily sheet, so you'll be able to go and watch the whole thing yourself. I do want to point out that that's not the same last name as mine. It's a little bit different. Just don't start spelling my name with a T. That's how they spell theirs. She was in Louisiana. The others were in Arkansas. So I wanted you guys to get a taste and to look and see how the civil rights move differently in other parts of America. And that's going to be the field study for you today. So let me pull my PowerPoint back up. There we go. And let's get back to the projector. Nope, that's the projector. There we go. And so the links that we used, all of those links are listed there. This PowerPoint will also be in the Google folder, so you can go through them there, or you can copy them from the daily sheet that I give. If you have any questions, you can email me at afranz@amanaacademy.org. You can turn in your work to me. Please make sure you label it field study just in the regular art turn-in folder. And on a much, much lighter note, you might not be aware of this, but today is Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. All right, 5th grade. I'll see you again. Have a good day.